down. Back with me is senior legal fellow at Advancing American Freedom. Hans von Spakovsky is back. Hans, great to have you back on.
Thanks. I mean, I'm a Virginian. I voted in that election. I was disappointed, but it only won by 88,000 votes out of 3 million cast. And what's interesting, if you look at the state of Virginia, is that really the entire state of Virginia was against this. What got it over, all the rural areas, they all voted against it. It was the three big urban areas, Richmond, Alexandria, Arlington, Norfolk. They are the ones who put this over the top, but just barely. And it's not over, as you mentioned. There are three pending lawsuits over this, claiming that the way this referendum was run through the legislature violated provisions of the state constitution. And as you saw, Ken Cuccinelli thinks that that's a winning argument.
All right, Hans, how does the Supreme Court shape up in Virginia? I had mentioned I think it leans right. Maybe that's over optimistic. Can you have any insight into the Supreme Court there?
You know, I think it slightly leans right, but quite frankly, they've never been very bold. You know, you hear about state Supreme Courts in other states. You never hear anything about the Virginia State Supreme Court. And I don't know if you remember this, but a number of years ago, one of the Democratic governors started giving mass pardons to felons to get them into the voting mix. And you can't do that under the state constitution. You have to do an individual review of each case. But frankly, the state Supreme Court just kind of rubber stamped that and didn't stop what to me was a clear violation of the state constitution. So I'm a bit worried about them.
All right. So you just summed up what I had said, too, is that Virginia is basically a 50-50 state. You look at how this provision won. I mean, just by the thin little razor margin. Guess who admitted literally the day after that her state is a purple state? Abigail Spanberger, this wacko who campaigned as a moderate and then turned out to be a radical. Go figure. Listen to what she says here, Hans.
You defeated your Republican opponent in the governor's race by more than 15 points just last year. Were you at all surprised that the margin of victory this time wasn't larger?
I wasn't. Virginia is a purple state, and in my election in November, that was the outlier number.
Hans, I'm not an attorney, but can that be used against them? She literally admits it's a purple state, and they're going to go 10-1 in favor of Democrats for the congressional district?
Well, in fact, her poll numbers have fallen so dramatically that she is now one of the least popular governors in history in the state of Virginia. And one of the reasons is that it's not just this redistricting plan, but she's been pushing all these taxes, new regulations. Basically, she's been trying to turn Virginia into California, and voters across the state, they don't like that.
No. You want to have any advice, last question to you, to the legal team that will be arguing this on behalf of Republicans? What's the best argument to get this overturned?
Well, the best argument is the violations of the state constitution, which I don't think the state Supreme Court can ignore, and they have the final word on the state constitution, and they ought to rule against this referendum.
Yeah. Hans von Spakovsky, always good to see you. Thank you for coming on tonight, as always.
Thanks for having me.